Hello everyone. Namaste, Lavina ji. On behalf of my entire team at Lamar School of Arts, I, Samira Shah, welcome all of you for this webinar series, Signature and Inspirational Journey of Pathbreakers. Today we have with us a beautiful and gorgeous Lavina Baldosa, who I would say is a seeker by day, dreamer by night, creator by choice, and perfectionist by design. I'm sure there's a lot coming for all of us when we are going to be there hearing I'm sure we all would like to story from her. I'm sure like to first have a glimpse of seeing her in action behind the scenes and so much that she's put in throughout her journey of life till today in a short, quick video that I would request my technical team to please play.
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराए जाने रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराए जाने रे पर दुखी उपकार करे तोए मन अभिमान नाणे रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने सकल लोकमा सहुने वंदे निंदा न करे के नीरे वाचका छमन निश्चल राखे धन धन जननी तेनी रे वैष्णव जन तो
Beautiful. I'm sure all of us are very much wanting to, hear you now, Lavina ji, as we welcome you and Aslam Craftsman, who has an immense love and passion towards her work, which she has very, very meticulously shown and shown it to the world by her exemplary project. As we would all witness it during this session today, before we begin, I would now request Lavina ji to please, who's recognized by the entire world as a design aficionado, I'm sure to let us know how and where did all of this begin from and where and when was this seed sown. So welcome Lavina ji, and it would be nice to begin the conversation from hearing it right from the beginning.
Thank you, Samira. Thank you, Lamak, for having me over. Good evening, everyone. Where it all began, I think I was born with the design bug. And from the time I can remember, I would take my mom's saris, Banarsis, and I would have them cut and make lehengas out of it, ask the darzi to make lehengas, and her chiffons would be changed into anarkalis for me. So, or I would go with my grandfather to Khadi Bhandar and then pick up fabrics and design something or the other. I always wanted to be a designer, study design, but I got married at 19. But then we went to Chicago, and that's where I graduated in fashion and textile designing.
Oh wow! So this was really something coming up at a very young age, and I'm sure today in the audience also we have a lot of such young girls, and we have many of them who are. But to think of it at 19 to get married and then travel all the way to Chicago studying fashion and design. I'm sure it's been quite a revolutionary thing. I would say about maybe what 30 years back that you did it. So can you please share a little more insights on this?
Yeah, it was almost 30 years ago. I guess it was, I won't say it was revolutionary, but I think when you align your passion with your purpose, doors do open. And I was just so fortunate that I got to study design in Chicago. And but when I came back, I did never had this need of or even the desire to pursue fashion as a commercial project. So I got involved in running the school, Dipayan, which my mother-in-law had started. And although I would never stop designing, but I never did anything commercially about it.
Oh, okay, that's lovely. But then, your projects have been mostly evolving around the Indian traditional art and craft, and they have been evolving more to do with weaver communities. When the world ideally at those times also in the terms of fashion or otherwise would want to do modern things. So you began with a school, is right?
Yeah, I no, I this was nothing to do with fashion. The school is a regular school with the state board,
Okay.
where and then I got involved in the Abhiraj Baldota Foundation,
Yes.
and a lot of projects came along. But I've always enjoyed working with weavers. I always feel that whatever modern or trendy that we say, it all the root lies in tradition, in in history. So, for example, when Mahatma Gandhi had the Khadi movement, it was for us to do away with the mill-made textiles of Manchester. It was a tool to get freedom. So, always, I think trends are rooted in tradition for sure.
Right. So, when you joined in the Abhiraj Baldota Foundation as a corporate social role, in that role, I'm sure it has evolved over the years. But when you began, what were the initial plans and how has it, evolved over the period of time?
Yeah, when say I would say 20 years ago when I got involved in the foundation work, I started with a project where we had 15 sculptors from India who came and did a residential workshop working with the local material and involving it also involved three generations of Baroda school sculptors. It was a very special project and I really enjoyed it. And later, of course, we have 18 villages that the foundation has adopted around Hospit Hampi. And we'll take care of everything like health, hygiene, education, sanitization, of women empowerment, skill training. So, tree plantation, conservation, everything is involved in the foundation. We have always set a trend of identifying the need and working towards it before it becomes mandatory.
Wow. I'm sure this is a long list and a lot of responsibilities that come in, when you talk about the various tasks that are done at the as in the corporate social role that you're playing at the Abhiraj Baldota Foundation. And I'm sure a lot of people around are also taking examples and actually learning from you on that front.
Yes, we have been awarded and recognized a lot. And but I would say the most important thing is the team and inclusivity, which we all work together of making empowering the people rather than just supporting them.
Okay, amazing. I'm sure we want to take this conversation more ahead and know more on it, but you just had a recent project called Santati and Traveling Exhibition, and I'm sure we want to discuss that at length also with you. So before we take this forward, I'm sure I want to show the audience a quick video on the same first. So can we have the next video, please?
पतित पावन सीताराम
संतति बेसिकली मीन्स कंटिन्यूम समथिंग दैट इज इटर्नल वह जो शाश्वत है एंड दैट्स व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ गांधी जीज आइडियल्स फॉर मी दैट इट इज नॉट ओनली रिस्ट्रिक्टेड टू द टाइम दैट ही इज and that's why I want Santiti to be a continuum which will be Mahatma Gandhi then, now, next.
नजारा
So, Lavina ji, please tell us, how did Santati begin?
It began around 4.5 years ago. Essentially, this is a tribute to Mahatma Gandhi on his 150th birth anniversary. And Gandhian influence has been an integral part of my upbringing, especially Khadi. For me, Khadi was a sign of patriotism because I've seen the elders and the men in my family wear only Khadi. My grandfather, my grandfather-in-law, my father-in-law still wears only Khadi. So I wanted to do a project which would change the Khadi narrative from modest to resplendent, and I wanted to interface it with the art and the craft. So with Gaurang Shah, we envisioned doing the sari weaving project where we would weave Raja Ravi Verma paintings as pallus of saris in the Jamdani weave. And then organically, Santati grew into a multidisciplinary art exhibition where we got where fashion designer got involved, Gaurav Gupta, then architect Ashish Shah got involved, light designer Pratik and Gautam from Clove Studio got involved, the embroiderer Jean-Francois Lesage got involved. There was a poet got involved, Navkirat Sodhi, and there were collections from archives of the JJ School of Art, from National Gallery of Modern Art, from IGNCA, and from MAP, which were exhibited at Santati.
Wow, I'm sure there were many who were actually involved in this project, but if you could just how long did this project actually take, and how many what number of artists or artists that actually got involved with working with this project?
So actually, the longest it took was for the sari weaving. This is a very cumbersome weaving technique, Jamdani, but not a regular Jamdani. This was done in Srikakulam, and Gaurang Shah has managed to do this mammoth task. He ended up training women, 20 women who were not weavers, and they were working in the field selling vegetables. And he trained them for 1 year, and then the saris were woven. And most of the saris took around 6 to 8 months, but some also took more than a year to weave.
Oh wow, this was this was quite a task, because to train vegetable weaver, makers into weavers, sellers into weavers, and it was, I'm sure, and there was a lot of installations and a lot of art that was actually put up into the exhibition by many other artists also. Like
Yeah.
the beginning that you shared about with Gaurang Shah, maybe you could just have a look at the pictures, and you could also give us some more insights about these installations and about these art and artists that were involved. So it was a total of around 7 years, 6 to 7 years of a journey.
No, I would say 5.
Okay.
5 years. Yeah.
So 5 years to put up the whole, but then still 5 years is a really long time. I'm sure,
Yeah, it is a
yeah, it is
yeah.
a very long time. So, sure. And you had the Shanti Totem and the Ashti, which was also done
Yeah.
by
So
Ashish.
yes, so Ashish did the Shanti Totem. It was the height of Mahatma Gandhi, 1.64 meters, and he used the Channapatna toys, the lacquered Channapatna toy, the lacquering which is done in the Channapatna toys, and also he upscaled the marble dust using them as terracotta. This is Gaurang Shah's installation.
This is Gaurang
Sari.
Shah's installation.
Yeah. So these were all 600 colors of vegetable dyes were dyed for this saris, and like the sari which you can see in the front is Sita Swayamvar. This took the maximum time, around 1.5 years, to weave just the pallu of the sari. It's a very, very skilled uh, effort, and kudos to the craftspeople who can achieve such amazing results.
Right. I'm sure we'll actually we were discussing also Ashish Shanti Totem.
Yeah,
Which is,
this is the Shanti Totem, and this was again Ashish's tribute to Mahatma Gandhi of using village craft or the traditional Indian craft and giving a modern, simplistic uh, flavor to it, which can be easily used in modern homes.
Right. With this, this was with Clove Design where Pratik
Yes,
Jain and Gautam Seth are actually.
Yeah, this is done by Clove Studio, and this is Ahimsa. They've done this light designing, and it reads Ahimsa, if you can see in Devanagari. And this is their tribute to Mahatma Gandhi.
Beautiful. Can we also, yeah.
These panels were done by John Francois Lesage of Vastrakala Embroidery, Chennai. And he's taken Mahatma Gandhi's letters, handwritten letters, from Kishore Jhunjhunwala's collection, which also we had exhibited in the Santati. And these are all hand embroidered on khadi.
Okay. Hand embroidered on khadi. I'm sure it was quite a task in putting up all of these actually.
Yes. And this is Gaurav Gupta's Tunnel of Infinity. And in fact, he did so much research on this project, and he did so much research on Mahatma Gandhi, and he was really inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's heartbeat, which was so perfect that he was supposed to live for 125 years. And in his patent style of boning and of draping, he has done this infinity sign using khadi fabric. And when you look into that, it's a reflection. So it basically is telling you that how infinite Gandhiji's principles are, and you can find your own Gandhi if you look within.
Yeah, I'm sure it does read also. The medicine is everywhere if you step out of the capsule.
Yes, yeah, and all these poetry installations were done by Navkirat Sodhi, and with every installation she has written a poem, and it goes throughout the exhibition. It strings the exhibition actually.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure by Navkirat also adding this, the poetries to every installation that are there, it's given a lot of depth and lot of things to this, entire exhibition Santati that was put in. But tell me something,
soul to this exhibition, I would say.
Yeah,
she's
she
given
gave the
soul to this
right?
exhibition. Yeah.
Yes, sure. So I'm sure this entire project actually you live in Hampi, which is otherwise it's a small town. You come and you've done this mammoth project. This is really something very very huge. So how would you? But did you have some challenges because it was to select between living into a metropolitan city where majorly otherwise art and craft find their space, and how did you really manage to do it from Hampi?
See, to exhibit, of course, you need to be in a city, but to work, I think there's no better place than being in a small town where you actually live a life of freedom at your own choice. Whatever you do it because it pleases you, because you like doing it, not for any kind of social obligation. And Hampi is actually a very inspiring place. Architecturally, is beautiful. The nature is abundant, and I wouldn't live anywhere else. And it's the best place to work. I find my inspiration here.
Yeah, I'm sure it is one of the most beautiful places. There are a lot of tourists who have otherwise even visited Hampi for once would always want to keep coming again and again to this place. And yeah, it is a very beautiful place indeed. So, but then the mindset, I would say, especially for the youth today or even otherwise, is to live into dream cities, like whether it is New York or whether it is even Mumbai for that matter, but want to be in metropolitan cities.
I think in today's time, nobody wants to be in Mumbai or New York. We are very happy to be in a small town. Things change.
Yeah, I'm sure with what you're saying for today, it is the case that everyone wants to go away from Mumbai, it being completely, where they are so much lockdown and absolutely no freedom. Like, I think one of the best things that you said living in Hampi has got to you is the amount of freedom. And I'm sure
Correct.
creatively it does make a lot of, it does give you a lot of the freedom that you get. Creativity can explode, I would say, in such places, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. The place itself is very inspiring. It gives you the mind space. It gives you um, so much time, I would say. More than anything, you don't waste time here.
Right. Yeah, I'm
There's so
sure.
much to do.
Yeah, especially with this kind of sessions and otherwise that we are now experiencing during our lockdown in Mumbai, I would say the amount of time on a personal front also is something that we are saving is the travel time, because practically otherwise you're in your vehicle with not much that you can otherwise do but just be into the traffic for 3 to 4 hours a day. So
Correct.
yes, surely it does get you. And with this, like even your exhibition, which is otherwise a traveling exhibition, and it's been already to couple of cities here in India. So tell us something about that, and then what are your future plans with the same?
Yeah, I want to travel with this exhibition abroad. We have spoken to some museums, but right now we are laying low because of the COVID situation. We'll take it
Right.
up as soon as things get better.
Okay.
And I want most importantly with this exhibition, I want the world to see what India is capable of, what our artisans are capable of, the kind of fine workmanship that we can do, and it's actually really inspiring, especially the Indian textile. And
Right.
the couture houses need to use this. It's very, very important.
Sure, I'm sure, because it has had already a lot of appreciation even here when a lot of people have gone through and seen the exhibition. And when it goes to the world, also it is going to take many, many people's eyeballs, on it in a way where people are really amazed that, and especially to be done in as fine as Jamdani and every other every installation or the piece of art which is put up at the exhibition comes in with so much of research, which comes up with so much of process into the making that has gone in. So I'm sure everyone would be looking forward to it. You're planning to have a weaver school, in Hampi, where that's one of your
Yeah,
dream projects also.
yeah, that is
So
one of my dream projects, and I always feel that why is the onus of carrying the weave forward left to the children of weavers? In case they don't want to do weaving, it's fine. Can't we train other people who are interested in weaving into weaving? So, and I don't know why for so many years nobody's thought about it, but uh, now with it's easy to travel, it's easy to we can easily have a weaving school. We can have workshops from different kinds of weaves, and we can train people who are interested in learning to weave into such amazing weaves that we have in India.
so this weaving school would definitely be open to everyone who wants to learn weaving, and definitely and
Yeah,
not going to be restrictive to just the weavers next generation.
no, not at all, not at all. That's the whole idea of having weaving school.
Okay, and how about the faculty members and the trainers for the school? Where
So
would you
there
source them? Where would you
are
get them?
we have been actually talking to lot of master weavers across India, and they are more than happy to teach people their techniques, and the different weaves have different learning time also. Like pattern weave we were trying to evaluate how much time would it take to perfect a pattern weave. It would take almost 2 years to perfect a pattern weave technique. So
Right.
we have spoken to a lot of people, and they are happy to come on board and teach the weaving.
I'm sure it's going to be a very detailed project, because especially in India, when you have so many varieties and so many variations in the weaving technique, like you just spoke about the pattern weaving, or with what even for that matter, the ikat for pattern and
Ah,
happening in Pochampalli or happening elsewhere actually differs from
yeah,
every state and every city that you travel to. So
absolutely.
yeah, I'm sure it will be quite a thing to have these or the maximum varieties actually being taught in one such school where textile weaving is the specialization. So I'm
Correct.
sure everyone.
Like, I would say, it really pains me when I see somebody like Dries Van Noten use ikat print for her clothes. Like, why can't we use the weave itself? It's cheaper in India to source a woven ikat
Right.
than to print it.
Yes.
So, or like say the bandage, which is printed. Why would anybody print a bandage?
Right.
You know, or printing of kalamkari. Why would you print a kalamkari? These artists need work,
Yeah.
so we have to look at things like that, like use the original stuff instead of creating rub-offs.
So with this, I'm sure when you're saying that, use the original stuff and try to get as much as possible, working with artisans, working with craftsmen at the grassroots level. But what would be that advice that you would give? Because there are a lot of these young creative, designers or students who would actually be aspiring to take up projects on design intervention. So, how exactly would you say is the entire process, and what would it mean to be, taking up design intervention?
So what is design? Design is basically creatively rearranging things, right? If you rearrange flowers and leaves, you create a beautiful bouquet. If you rearrange words, you create poetry. So it's basically rearranging. So look around you for inspiration. Look around you and see how you can creatively rearrange things. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to refine it to suit the future. And use local materials, use what is available, and make it beautiful. Present it in such a way, so upscale things, add value to things, and of course
Right.
you can just do what is available around you rather than looking and sourcing things from far away. Even like in today's time, we're all talking about going local, using self-sustenance and all. I think it's very, very important to live a circular life and to have an inclusive life.
Okay, I'm sure this does give a lot of thought, a lot of food for thought for these young designers, where they really feel that, okay, now we are design students, it is we who have expertised everything, and they try and go ahead and work with master craftsmen who actually expertise in their own craft and really know the best of what they are doing, and try to intervene at times in a way which is not really, the right way of taking up a project for design intervention.
A lot of now, so many designers in India are doing that, and it's really something to be very proud of.
Sure. We have lot of actually questions that begin to come into our chat box where they want to even know and have some insights from you. Where so I'm just going to take a couple of questions before
Yeah.
in between our conversation also. Where Ruby is just wanting to know that how much time solely the research took for your project Sansiti.
The research took around 1 year, I would say, and it was very organic. I didn't do the whole of research and then start the project. Things started falling in as I went along. People started joining
Okay.
in as I went along, and it was not all my research. Everybody who was involved did their own research, brought in their flavor, brought in their interpretation. So it was a very inclusive project. It wasn't nothing. It wasn't mine at all.
Okay. We also have another question from Manisha, where she would like to know that, you did mention about handloom fabrics and dresses, which we need to, instead of going for a print for cotton or kalamkari, we'll have to pick them up. But it seems they are very expensive. So sometimes how to bring awareness for non-fashion background people, because I think that's a real struggle. Many people who are not from the fashion background are not really aware of the availability of all these sources.
Yeah. So the handlooms. It's a conception that all handlooms are expensive. Actually, handlooms are not expensive. Like a lot of there should be. I really wish that design schools create this directory of people, of weavers and artisans working across India, not only in fashion but also in other product designing. What are the things which are already there in India? How to tie up with them? How to do design intervention to make them create something which is usable?
I'm sure, Lavina ji, as a design school head, even I would take this up as an advice, and we are working on this front where before we do the annual fashion shows, there's a lot of sourcing, there's a lot of network, which are pre-connected with not just visits to various exhibitions and other places that we create for our students. We give them a lot of database where they work with them. Also, certain industry we database with them. Initial visits where they visit, whether it is Kutch or whether it is Bagalkot or whether it is, working with these, going to Jaipur and Sanganer and explore, and definitely they make up their contacts. So that is what helps,
Yeah, it's very
definitely.
important.
But I think for the people in so the people in general, because I do have the next question, which is from Sandhya, where she's talking about e-commerce coming up as a, a lot of platform where not many are available on the most famous e-commerce platforms where direct connection to weaver-based products is available. So what would you, what would you advise, or how do you think that twist can be changed?
Yeah, today this is the way forward. Actually, this is the generation which needs to think about all these things. How we can bring uh, all these weavers, all these people who you can source things from on the digital, on the internet, and how you can source things from them. It is absolutely important. And I think this is what now, especially with this COVID situation, right now, I think this needs to be done, and even the government should look at working on this kind of a platform.
Okay. We have a lot of appreciation also, which has come into the chat box, where everyone is awe with the kind of work that you have presented in the form of Sansati. Where one of them has also written that, ma'am, you have actually inspired us to look at our culture, which is incredible and now appreciated all over the world. So I'm just reading out something that I actually came up into the chat box. So, you've taken this innovative experiment, which was never done before. This was something which you, I would say, was very courageous and a very risk-taking step also, which you actually took up. So, were there any, initial, I don't know, what was it? Did you have butterflies in your stomach, or did you have any feeling when you actually began to think about this innovative project?
Yeah, if you do something out of the box, it does need a lot of courage. It needs conviction, and above all, it takes the risk and appetite for taking risk. As you know, art, people look at art in different way. They don't understand, and everybody doesn't understand and see art in the similar way. And that's what art is meant to do. It is meant to evoke some kind of reaction, and also sometimes uh, not everybody can appreciate it. So there will be criticism, and that's the work of art.
But,
That's the job of art. Yeah.
but were there really any criticism that actually came across this project, which is ideally something very, very highly appreciated?
No, there were, of course, there were a lot of bottlenecks, and there were criticism at different levels. Of course, there was.
Okay. Well, we have a question where everyone wants to also know that why saris, when there could be many other things which could have been created, that you actually chose to work with.
With saris, um, it's very personal. I love saris, and especially when I chose Raja Ravi Verma. He's the artist who has taught us how the saris are draped through his paintings. So this was a tribute to both Mahatma Gandhi and Raja Ravi Verma, and that's why I wanted to do a sari weaving project.
Can you tell us a little more about, probably how, because we hear a lot of like Mahatma Gandhi and his, were there any personal, you did have your childhood memories of family members with, him and otherwise, but any other interactions or something which was really, one such, incident which actually left that impression onto you?
Yeah, actually, my grandfather-in-law, he had the fortune of working with Mahatma Gandhi during the freedom struggle, and he came and stayed in our ashram in Urli Kanchan. And
Okay.
they always tell us a story that when Mahatma Gandhi sat in a car, the driver actually went crazy and he went all over the town running and said, Bapu sat in my car, Bapu Maja gadi pade bas le le. So he was so happy, and just, that was the magic of that man. That was the effect of that man who was Mahatma Gandhi. And like, he still is inspiring to all of us. And there are, even today, we were so many things that he has taught us that time of self-sustainable uh, economy and all that. It's so valid today in this situation, and the government is talking about it even today.
Yeah, I'm sure, even while telling us this story, the amount of excitement and enthusiasm that we could all actually, experience although it's on a camera, but we could really feel that, so how beautifully, how wonderfully actually Bapu has touched the lives, and he has touched you so specially. So
Yes.
it's really amazing to see it, for sure. There's a question where they want to know if there are any upcoming projects which are on the similar line that you're already planning.
Yeah, my next project I'm planning is going to be titled Humpy. It's again going to be a multidisciplinary art exhibition related to Humpy.
Wow, I'm sure everyone is and it's already begun. Huh? The work is already begun, so I'm sure everyone is
It's in my
wanting to
head.
wait and look at it.
Right now,
Yeah.
it's only in my head.
I'm sure for the more for how beautifully that you are, your smile. I think it's connecting your mind and heart. I don't see them any different. I'm sure it's all just there within you. So much where it probably flows. The art and craft. Very perfectly flows into you.
It really gives me
Well, we
joy.
have
It makes my heart sing. I really, really enjoy it.
amazing. Are you a singer?
Bathroom singer.
Well, this was one question that actually came up. So, we have a question where Ruby wants to know that, if you have been ever working with freshers in terms of, design students or interns who actually assisted you for these kind of projects, or have you been welcoming, apart from established designers, any freshers at work?
Right now, no, I have not, but I would be very happy to take some under my folder. I'll be very happy to do that.
Okay, I'm sure this is for all of them who are actually waiting to hear this from you. That is, they could come and jump to assist you. So I'm sure they're going to, definitely look forward to an opportunity like this and be the first ones to grab it. So Saundarya wants to know that, what happens to the designs and the material after the exhibition, like after this project completes and after you've done all the traveling. What's your plan to do with all of these?
The plan was for like for each person to auction their work. That was the plan, but right now it's on hold. We've not decided about it as yet.
Hmm. Okay. So also, yes, Priyanka wants to know that how is the current situation inspiring in terms of art and design? Like you said that it's all in your mind, but is it really inspiring?
The current situation, uh, you know, I can't say the situation is inspiring, but yes, it has given us time to, be in a relaxed state. We are not today, fighting for our survival and stuff. So there is time to think. There is time to evaluate what will be uh, actually valid in the future and what is important, what we need to do. So of course, things will change, but we have to. This is the time to think.
Okay, and I'm sure, like you said, you're in one of the most beautiful spaces where you actually can think and really go about.
Today,
People,
today everybody, like I've been talking to friends who are designers and all. So everybody's been like laying low, but like somebody's saying that I'm making so many patterns and I'm creating new things, new ideas, looking at how future is going to be, thinking about the commerce in the future. So yeah, this is the actually time to think and understand what the future holds and how we can move from this reality to the next. And things are changing for sure.
right. In regards to the art and design industry, Akshay wants to know from you that, according to you, apart from Hampi, around the world, which is the other city which you really would is that you really love and you would probably want to be in?
uh, from around the world, you're saying. There are a lot of cities in, recently I visited Lucknow for the first time and I was amazed at that city, the architecture. It was completely so inspiring, so inspiring. Um, Apart from that, abroad, my favorite is Florence.
Yes, I'm sure even I would completely agree with this on this with you, because traveling down those lanes in Florence, especially where you have and I think it's just 360 degree of art and stuff that you're actually surrounded by, and
Yeah,
the sculptures and everything put up are so good. So Florence,
yeah,
sure,
birthplace of Renaissance. So of course, it's so beautiful in every which way.
sure. Well, Ananya, okay, I think Ananya, we will be definitely sharing, details on, connecting each one of us on social media, and that will definitely help you to see how to get in touch with all of us. Uh, Vaishali also wants to know, which are the other art forms that you would like to work with? Like, are there any specific, apart from weaving, in terms of art forms that you really adore?
In fact, the next one I want to work with jewelry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so definitely that, yeah, that will be a new thing. Sure.
Okay. So, do you have any advice that you would like to give the artist community also, where you would like to, share and give them something?
Yeah, like I said, look around for inspiration. uh, Creativity definitely cannot be taught, but you can learn techniques and learn and practice and enjoy what you do. Understand what is your innate nature. Like say for a fashion designer, either you're a draper or you're a pattern maker, like a drafter or a draper. So understand what you're good at, understand what makes you happy, and work on that. And I think that's the best way to be.
I'm sure this, really helps, because to know your niche, I think that is where you can put up and give up
Exactly.
your best.
Exactly. Like I
Right.
would really talk if I had to do something about selling or commerce. I'm so not left brain. I'm completely right brain. So it won't work for me. I know for sure. So I never wanted to get into something commercial. That you have to understand
Right.
what you are and what really makes you happy.
Sure. So we have a question from Karan, who's wanting to know that, these few designers who worked on Santati with you, did they approach you? Did you approach them? Or how was the entire process of selection, for putting up this entire project together?
So luckily for me, all the people who I worked with were my friends. So I approached them and they also gave me a lot of input. And it was really actually very organic, and it just went from one step to another and to another, and it all tied up together. I'm just,
Oh,
it's just, I, I really wonder how it all happened. Like, I had no idea that it was going to become this big. And, what happened was so organic, and I'm just so grateful that how it fell in place. And
I'm sure it like you just it just began, but the entire the entire depth that you gave it right from the beginning, and like for being a perfectionist, which is already known to the world of you to be. I'm sure there has been a lot of meticulousness in every step. There's been a lot of heart that is there, and we see everyone is loving seeing these work that you have put in. So, Gayatri wants to know that how do you imbibe and choose your inspiration ideally?
how do I
Imbibe
choose?
and choose your inspiration. Like, it's so many, sometimes, so many thoughts must be crossing your mind, but this is the one. How does it?
I generally don't. Whatever comes to my mind, I think about it and I mull over it for a lot. I have these khayali pulavs. Like I go to the last bit of it and think everything, and then look backwards and see whether it still excites me. Sometimes I love something so much, but after 2 days, I'm not interested in it. So like I wait for a bit, let it sink in, and then I go about it. Otherwise, it's very easy to get distracted.
Yeah, I'm sure this is one sure in thing that these youngsters, all of them have to take in, where distraction in today's world is so easily available, especially even with your mobile phone on hand, and you want to concentrate, and that's something very challenging to keep doing. But yes, I'm sure that helps on way forward. So I have a question from Simran, who wants to know, if you have been, it's in connection to, the social work also, where probably undergraduate women's, or, if you have to bud into business, have you been working on that front of probably women?
Or business.
Helping, yeah, helping women to take up some business, entrepreneurs.
Oh yeah. So it's not. I haven't been doing it, but the foundation has been working at creating self-help groups of women, and it's really helped. We have a lot of self-help groups. I think around some uh, 80 self-help groups are in place, and they are all very empowered. They're earning their own money. They've set shops, and it's really doing very well.
Okay. So apart from this, ideally these weaver communities, for example, when you're putting them to job, when you're giving them, they face a lot of challenges. One of them is also eye vision, and having this. Where we saw a lot of camps and medical camps also, which you do. So is that for everyone, or is it only for like specifically something that you're doing for the weaver community?
No. It is for everyone. It's for everyone. Very close to where we live, there aren't any weaver communities. The closest is Ilkal, which is quite far still. So these camps are for the village, all the villages that we have adopted, and for people around. It's not connected with the weavers community.
Okay. So sure. But so it's connected to all the villages that are adopted by the foundation.
That's right.
Right. So Saundarya wants to know that every artist and designer has a distinct style, and that they carry with them naturally. So how would you define your taste of style?
Mine is very eclectic, I would say. I'm very traditional at some level, and yet very modern. So I would say, like, I would want modern silhouette to a traditional fabric, to put it simply.
Yeah, I'm sure that is that's pretty simple to actually clearly understand. So we have a question where they want to understand the entire process planning of the whole art installation, and what were the elements that were considered for the preservation of the same.
Okay, so preservation of the same, it has been the onus is lying upon the artists themselves. So it's not up to me to preserve the art. So each artist is taking care of their own artwork. As far as installation is gone. Yes, the main challenge was transporting the installation from one place to another, and that needed a lot of proper packing and dismantling and reinstalling. That took a lot of time, effort, and money to move the exhibition from one place to another.
Okay, so I'm sure that has been, the key thing that you actually took up, where traveling was very, very difficult with,
Yeah.
I mean, that was something to really manage with so many pieces of art.
Yes, that needed, and I had a fantastic team. White Marketing was helping me with this, and I had a fantastic team, and actually they really took good care.
Okay. I have a question from Ajay who wants to know a little more about, you said your education in Chicago and studying. So was it, his question is that did you study fashion design and how was it in those times in Chicago?
Yeah, I did fashion design and fashion and textile design, and it was my it was very tough. It was very cumbersome and actually very hard to do it because it took a lot of physical labor.
Okay.
And so a lot of people would join the design school, and they would like think, oh, it's just for the glamour of it, and soon after one semester people would not come back to it because it took a lot of hard work and a lot of labor. Like in India, you can outsource so many things, do so many things from this, but when you're in America, you do everything on your own, and it was a lot of hard work. But they teach you so well, and they really like train you into becoming very, very astute in whatever you do.
Right. Did you ever think of settling down maybe in those times in America, or never, like in today, the youth, if they are studying abroad, never want to come back and want to settle down in the cities or the countries which they have been, whether it is Australia, Canada, or the US. And in times which were so many years back, did you not
Never.
think, did it not really, do you repent coming back, or do you?
No, never, never, never. I love India too much to be away from here. I wouldn't go live in Mumbai. Why would I live in America? I love where I am, and there's no way I want to live anywhere else.
Right, I'm sure. Uh, I have a question here from Aisha, who wants to actually know that which were the first interaction in which was the first weaver that you met, or which was the art that actually was first worked with you. I think it is about knowing the first village or the first weaver community you got interaction with.
Is it for Santati or generally?
I think the question is general, to try to know about, from where did you first begin?
So first weaver community I met was in Ilkal, which is very close to where I live. And there is a trust called the Kishkinda Trust. And I worked with this friend of mine, Chama, who runs it. And then we both would go and, give designs to the weavers to create different fabrics. And then we would make clothes out of it for her trust. So Ilkal.
Okay. I have a question from Ritvik, who wants to know, which is your favorite art and you like the most, and why do you like it the most?
Out of the exhibition, again, is he talking about Santati?
Now I would have to ask that to Ritvik. Ritvik, maybe you'll have to tell us on chat whether it is in connection to. But I think you can tell us both ways, because I'm sure we are keen to know that with so much that India has to offer, and even but I'm sure I'm going to ask you India because you love it so much that if there is this one art that you love really.
I would say weaving, the textiles.
The textile. And now the question may be, if it is from the exhibition, which is your favorite?
My favorite. There are a couple of them, but one of the saris is my favorite, which I said, the Sita Swayamvar, which is very intricate, where they have shown Sita as a 9-year-old girl. It's very beautiful. It's done so beautiful. The expression has come out so wonderful, and I love the colors. I just love that sari. And of course, there are a lot of favorites, but in the weaving, in the saris.
Sure. I have a question
And they're
from
also
Nidhi.
different. It's very hard to choose.
Right. I'm sure I have a question from Nidhi where she wants to know that how, why was it that Ravi Verma's paintings were only selected, and how did that happen?
So since I wanted to do a sari weaving project, right, in khadi, so it became actually very automatic that through Ravi Verma's paintings we have seen how saris are draped and stuff. So and he's the father. He's actually considered the father of modern Indian art, and so it became actually natural. And I thought it'd be a tribute to father of the nation and Ravi Verma, Mahatma Gandhi and Ravi Verma together. So it'll be. That's why I chose Raja Ravi Verma.
Now that you've told us about your dream project to come around being named as Humpy and talking about even jewelry, I'm having a couple of questions there, but I'm just going to pick this up where Nikhil still wants to dig, and he's saying that, knowing you will never stop dreaming and try pursuing and achieving it. What do we expect next? So I'm sure you want to dig more and know a little more on this.
On Humpy?
Yeah, on Humpy that
yeah.
and
yeah,
the jewelry project.
I've been talking to a lot of people, and my whole idea of doing this project was to make Humpy wheelchair accessible. It's such a beautiful place, but it's a pity it is not even wheelchair accessible. Not everybody can come and visit Humpy. And so I thought that let me do a project where I would involve a lot of designers, a lot of artists from all kinds of disciplines, and do an exhibition where we would also sell and raise funds for making Humpy wheelchair accessible. That was the whole idea. It's still in the
I'm sure that
in the planning stages. Nothing is finalized yet, but yeah, I'm still very excited about it though.
of course, and I'm sure it's going to be bigger and the best, like all your previous projects for sure.
Thank you.
Well, Priyanka has a question where she wants to know if you have a specific experience with the weaver when you were doing this entire project. That was, when you were engaged in this entire art journey that you would like to share with all of us.
Main thing was this kind of weaving that we did, which was not done before. Even the weavers of Srikakulam, they weren't doing this kind of weaving. We are adding an extra warp to the weave, and so only new minds could learn this weaving. So a traditional weaver said, no, we can't do it. So Gaurang actually had to train new set of people who would learn this from scratch. And this was actually a very interesting thing to think about, that we are also set in our ways that only if we think out of the box can we achieve something which is possible. And the fineness, this kind of weave has never been done before. And look at the product that has come. It is like a painting. It's some of the pieces are even more beautiful than the painting.
Sure. I have a question from Pooja who wants to know that, for you, between fashion and textile, how do you look at both of them? Are they different or are they the same?
Yeah, so textile is the raw material and fashion is the design element. So they go hand in hand. I mean, there is no fashion without textile.
Sure, there isn't. But then, given a choice, I think the question further is also about, if you have been ever designing and in which, has it been more towards textile or towards fashion?
I think it would be a marriage of both.
Sure, it will be. So Swati has this question on, how to start exploring the Indian art. I mean, what is the starting point, you would she say, and should we connect with the artisans directly, or is there any other process for the same?
I think the idea of, I would suggest that really Samira should invest time and energy in bringing up a directory. It's very important to create a directory of the artisans available in India, like from state to state. There is so much. Uh, it is important. Of course, many things are available online. You can read about it, but a lot of research needs to go in. And I'm myself thinking of one day bringing up this kind of a directory.
Okay, so that would be you think that would be that would definitely be a, I'm sure that really helps as a starting point, especially when you really don't know where you want to go about a particular thing, and that's what
And there
something
is
will.
so much, and there is so much you can't. I mean, it's just not possible to explore everything. And at the same time, you have to know that all these things are available. We don't even know. Indians don't know what we have. Like when I
Right.
went to Lucknow, and I was like, what am I traveling the world? This place is so beautiful. I didn't even know we had so much beauty. I mean, what architecture and what amazing stuff to see here itself. So that's what it's so important for us to learn more about it, to research, to look around, to really understand and invest time in it.
Yeah, sure.
You know, like why would we even today? Why would we export like from China some silks and chiffons and crepes to import from China? Why can't we make it in India? There are people making it in India, but the thing is, nobody knows who's making it. And since it's easily available, we go and choose that. So that needs to,
Right.
that needs to be corrected. We have
Yeah,
to make resources available readily.
right. So, the question from Sejal that I have is where you have been saying that we have to make these resources available, and we will take, but it may take a very very long time to connect with all of these resources. So, in a given point, like in the world today, how do we look at what would be the ideal way?
No, I think it won't take a long time, especially now with this situation. We are going to be accelerated. We need to be accelerated to move in that direction. There is no other way. We have to
Right.
work with what is available with us.
Okay.
We really have to work
So,
with what is.
Ruby has another question for you where she wants to know that do you limit yourself in terms of technology? The use of technology is the most in thing today, especially I'm sure a lot of people are actually using digital prints but we are talking about doing kalamkari themselves. So, do you limit yourself in those?
In using technology, I'm very, very challenged. It's a big hassle for me to use technology, frankly. But there is no other way to be. If you want to exist in today's time, you have to use technology. There is no other way to be. There are
Right.
so many places you can't do without using technology. I can't, even if I want, I can't limit myself from using technology.
Sure. I have a question from Poonam who wants to know that, while you were working with all these designers and is there any one memorable moment or an interaction that you would like to share with us?
Mm, there are actually everybody who's worked in this project has put their heart and soul in it, and there are a lot of memories, but I don't. They're very very long. I wouldn't want to like it'll be
Maybe
taking too
one
much
quick thing or
time.
something that you would like to share with
Yeah,
this
I would
in the
say
process.
I would say my interaction with Gaurav Gupta, where we spent one whole night we spent in discussing how to take it forward and what all we can do and stuff. So yeah, I think
Okay.
that is yeah. Gaurav and Navkirat together, we were all sitting and chatting. It just we didn't realize it was 4 o'clock in the morning.
Amazing, amazing. This is really something great. Well, so Manisha, I'm sure we can take questions. There are many more actually take a because many coming into the chat box, but maybe two, three more. Can we take them ahead?
Yeah, sure.
So Lavina ji, can we can take a few more questions ahead?
Sure, sure.
Okay. So Manisha wants to know the difference between studying abroad and studying in India, only in context to textiles and traditional art and design. How would you, what would you advise?
Studying in there are such fantastic schools now in India. I mean, there is no need to study abroad, especially even design and technology, and everything is available here, right here. So I don't know. I've not studied design in India, so I don't know. But I'm sure such fantastic academies have come up, and there is no need actually to study design abroad.
Right. Okay. So I have a question here from Bhavin, who wants to actually know that is there been in 30 years from now, how do you see the change in art? What has evolved?
I think it's more available. We've all become very we're seeing it more often. Everybody has learned to appreciate art in their own way. Everybody is able to even possess some kind of art. So that has changed. I think the reach of art has really increased. And now even with the digital media, if you can't own a painting, you would own a print or a photograph. So it's really possible to own art and to be involved in art by everyone.
Okay. How do you judge, art is what is the next question. Actually, Saundarya wants to know that while you're picking up a material, and how do you differentiate, when a good piece of weaving is done, or if there is the piece of weaving has not turned out good?
It depends on from weave to weave, but weaving is never going to be perfect. That's the beauty of weaving, and that's the beauty of hand woven. That it's never going to be perfect. It's not meant to be perfect. But yes, the quality matters. It depends on the yarn count, what has been used, how tightly it has been woven, what is the technique being used. So you have to look at various things, and what is it that you want out of the weave. Like say, suppose when we were viewing the Raja Ravi one, I was very particular about how the features are coming, how the facial expressions are coming. Weaving is rectangular; it goes in this to create circular facial expressions. It was a very difficult challenge. So, and of course, we rejected quite a few pieces when it was not coming up to the mark. So you do look at it. Depends on what you're looking for. What is that you want to achieve from the weave?
Right. I'm sure that's how everyone would be looking at, the final end result that you want to look at. And with
What
this,
you
I
want
have a
it for.
question, yeah, sure. I have a question from Jinal where she wants to know that, if in regards to the Gaurangsha sarees, if the color are selected, why were they so? Of course, they were naturally dyed, and that was so the color palette was decided by him, or did you not think of making it more brighter?
No, so I was very, very particular that we do it only in natural dyes. I wanted it as organic as possible. And so bring out brighter color. I did want the brighter colors. The beauty of them is the soft look which natural dyes bring, the softer colors. I think that's the beauty of the pieces.
Right. I'm sure that one of the details also, which one of the main highlights I would say, which is also a part of making of all of these woven sarees for the collection, where if I'm correct, 600 colors were naturally dyed, and
Yeah,
then the
absolutely.
painting was cheap in.
It took 1 year for us to create the chart and to dye the yarn. It took us 1 year just to dye the yarn to achieve those kind of colors. Some colors were so difficult, like pinks. To achieve a pink in the natural light was really difficult. But yeah, Junaid Khatri, from which he helped us, he took away the whole burden of dyeing, and he did it such a splendid job. like kudos to him, really.
Sure. So I have a question where Ria wants to know again. I think it's in more to the upcoming project that you will be doing. Will you be having more to the upcoming be doing? Will you be having the same design of friends, or are there any other designers that you are looking to collaborate with?
I have not yet decided everything. There are certain things I have in mind. It's not yet finalized. I have not thought about it. Of course, there will be many more, but not decided on who and what.
Okay. So, with this, my God. Okay. So I think I want to take this one more question where, we want to know that with all your current experiences, what would you advise the younger self during low times of setbacks in the start of the whole journey? Because right now, if they are looking at beginning themselves, and is this the right time to do startup?
To do startups? No, I think this is a time to right now lie low. If you can stay afloat, it's good enough. Right now, nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. So just right now, it's best to lay low, wait and watch, uh, consolidate what all you've learned, and keep it till the time you can use it in the best possible way. So think of ideas, but I don't think it's a good time to start anything.
Okay. I have this one question where, they want to know because a lot of fashion designers are not really professionally trained textile designers. There's a gap in the industry where, this is not understood. So what would be the guru mantra for them?
Exactly. So a lot of fashion designers are not trained into textiles, and they're not even aware of the textiles which are available. So again, I'm go back to the government and the design schools providing these directories, spending time and energy in creating these directories of where you can tie up these people together.
Okay. I'm sure.
There has to be a platform where the designers can directly integrate with everybody. Should be able to integrate with the textiles people, with the weavers, and be able to buy and sell their things and create from the hand woven or the made in India
And for
textile.
sorry. So, and for Sansati, how many paintings were actually chosen and converted into saris?
We had the permission of creating 52 pieces, but by the when Santati happened, we were able to only manage 32.
Okay, so was it because of the time frame of the inauguration of the exhibition?
Yeah,
Yeah, so
frame.
okay. So, but then are the other 20 designs still going to be processed, or
Yes,
is it?
they are being done. They are already being done.
Okay, so in this time frame of a year or so, maybe if they are completed in the next exhibition, you would see many more pieces than the
Absolutely.
previous exhibition.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I have this. I think we would also look at taking up this one or two more questions where they want to know among the Indian cities that the exhibition has traveled. Where did you experience it as the best? Where was the best experience between the cities where in India the exhibition has traveled?
I would say Mumbai because it was here for much longer, and then the next would be Ahmedabad. Even though there it was only for a week, but the kind of response that we had, and it was quite amazing, and the interest that people have, and how culturally and art oriented people in Ahmedabad are. I was amazed. It was really fantastic. In Ahmedabad, we did it at the Lal Bhai Museum, and even the Lal Bhai were so cooperative, and they took care of everything. It was so amazing to work with them.
Sure, I'm sure it, and Ahmedabad actually is otherwise also not just with the Calico museum being there, but otherwise is, one of the most looked forward, loved place by lot of people who love art around, and that entire city where I'm sure Ahmedabad also has a lot of because Mahatma Gandhi has also had a lot of time
Influence.
spent there, so his own yeah, in that city must be something which people must have looked at. So I think we want to understand you are you're the social responsibilities, the work that you're doing on your front with that taking up an exhibition project which needed also so much of time, and in your life how really this balance between your work professionally and your passion driven work.
I think when I was doing Santati, I forgot everything. I was just taking care of it. Luckily for the social responsibility, we have got a fantastic team. Uh, it's done very nicely. People are really involved and they do it very beautifully. Um, Only thing they need is ideas and guidance, which we always have time to provide. But when I got involved in Santati, I was completely involved. I had no time for anything else. I just was immersed in the project.
I'm sure we can like every it's been a since we are taking the conversation, every time that you're talking about Sansati, that broad smile and the amount of you really have put your soul into it, and that can be just felt being even at a digital distance, I would say, which is really making it yet very very personal. So it's been an amazing understanding of the entire details that you have given us, and so much insights I'm sure that the youth has taken from you in this entire conversation, learning about not just an exhibition which has been a traveling exhibition, but the different art forms, and understanding how in detail an Indian textile is, and where it can be an inspiration to the world at large. So I'm sure you have given this insights to all of us in a lot of different aspects that you actually shared with us. I would actually want our audience to also view a little video of what the amount of things that we do at Lama, and share with them the life of students at Lama before I have a concluding conversation with you for today, because questions are going to keep pouring in, but we'll also have to restrict it somewhere in regards to our timing with you today, and so much of in details that we've done. So after we see a quick video, we can just take our conversation ahead, please.
Thank you. Would love to.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Thank you. This was just a little glimpse of, how students actually have a lot of industry exposure, meeting, interacting, which where we have experts coming in and talking to them, sharing their experiences, giving them opportunities to work with them. And I'm sure we are very very grateful to you that although it was a lockdown situation, at just a phone call you accepted and you were very much there to share your expertise and so much of experience. I would say so much of wisdom that you actually have been sharing with all these students. And I'm now actually that everyone knows it's a concluding thing. Everyone is sharing such beautiful messages actually for you. But before I conclude and say that, yeah, it has really, really been a great learning. We want to know this one great, probably a memory or insight about your life in Hampi that is so close to your heart that probably you would like to share with us, and any very strong, probably not, I would not say strong, but yes, a very important, piece of advice for all these upcoming designers, which are today the major, most of our audience today.
The most important thing I think is to be in a place where it allows you to experience yourself in totality. And I love that about Hampi. And it doesn't end there. And it just, every time I'm even going to the heritage site, and when I go to the Hampi heritage site, I'm always discovering new things. There is so much to see, and I love that I'm always exploring here, exploring of my surroundings and exploring myself. And the advice I would like to give to the students is just to be true to who you are. First, you understand who you are, accept it completely, and then take it forward. Whatever you do, whatever is your passion, attach your purpose with it, and then there is no stopping you.
I'm sure it is. And with this, I'm going to read one. Of course, it is a very personal compliment which has actually come to you, Lavina ji, on my chat box. But there is a lot of appreciation for your project, for your work. But with you as a person, we have a writing which says that the serenity on your face is very calming, along with your heartwarming smile. So thank you for inspiring us with such a beautiful journey that you shared in the form of a storytelling with us. So this is something just that I have read come up from the audience, and
so
many
kind.
more that of course I'll be sharing with you
That's really
later.
kind. Thank you so much. I appreciate this. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm sure, although we had a conversation where just a general understanding of how the project was taken up, and you shared a little with me, and today, of course, even I got to learn so much from you onto that, not just the project, but you as a wonderful person. So once again, our heartfelt gratitude on behalf of the entire team at Lamarck, all my faculty members, everyone in the management, and my students for sure are immensely grateful for you to make this out of your busy schedules and giving us your valuable time and insights. So thank you to all of you. Please stay home, stay safe, and stay healthy, and enjoy and make the most out of this time by developing maximum learning and inspiration that you would take. We will share the details of the next webinar series later with all of you. And here we have also all the contacts that you all had, because many of you who wanted to, connect and write a personal message to Lavina ji, you have her all her social media connect right there on your screen. So, Lavina ji, can we conclude the session with your permission with this now?
Yes. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you calling me, and the pleasure's been all mine. Best of luck to all of you. Stay safe, stay blessed.
Thank you, Lavina ji. Thank you very much, and namaste all of you. Thank you for being there, and looking forward to meeting all of you back again very soon. Thank you, Lavina ji.
Thank you. Namaste.